Welcome. This demonstration is brought to you by digitalden. You will create an application template by using AWS Cloud9 and AWS SAM. The application is composed of an AWS Lambda function and a DynamoDB table, which are fundamental to many serverless applications. An Amazon S3 event will trigger a Lambda function, which will then write the event information to a DynamoDB table. You will use AWS SAM template to create the S3 bucket and the DynamoDB table used in the function. In this demo, you will create the AWS Cloud9 environment, create and test a local function, add an S3 bucket and trigger an event using the AWS SAM template, add logic to write to Amazon DB, write information to DynamoDB. Let's get started. In this first part, you will build the AWS Cloud9 environment. To begin, in the top right corner, select the region in which to create the AWS Cloud9 instance. In the Services field, enter Cloud9, select the AWS Cloud9 service. Select Create Environment from the AWS Cloud9 page. Name your environment Lambda C9env, and for the environment type, select Create a new EC2 instance. For the instance type, choose t2.micro. In this demo, you only require low RAM and vCPU usage, so the t2.micro instance is sufficient. However, if you were planning to use AWS Cloud9 for a large production workload, choose an instance size and type that matches your anticipated workload. Choose the platform as Amazon Linux. Keep the default 30-minute cost-saving setting. Scroll down to Network Settings sections, choose Secure Shell, SSH. At the bottom, select Create Environment. It takes a few minutes for AWS to create the environment. Open your new environment. The welcome page appears, with a terminal window near the bottom of the screen. Before you start, it's a good idea to verify the version of AWS SAM installed in your environment. You can compare this version to the latest version of AWS SAM on GitHub. We will use the version listed. In the AWS Cloud9 console, in the left navigation pane, choose the AWS Explorer icon. Select the region to see the list of available resources and then select Lambda. This lists any available Lambda functions within the same AWS account and region as your AWS Cloud9 environment. If you have a function here, you could import it and work with it. In this demo, you will create a new one. To create a new function, right-click Lambda and choose Create Lambda SAM Application. For runtime, choose Node.js 14.x. For architecture, choose x86-64. In the Select a SAM Application template, choose AWS SAM Hello World, a basic SAM app. In the Select a Workspace folder for your new project, select Lambda C9env. In the Enter a name for your new application, enter Lambda SAM app in the text field and choose Enter. The AWS Toolkit window appears. Choose Open Launch.json button. This JSON file contains the launch configurations of the Lambda SAM app application. In the left navigation pane, choose the project folder icon for Lambda SAM app. expand hello world. The function is listed as app.js. To test the Lambda function, you can either right-click on app.js and choose Run, or go to the top menu bar, choose the Auto drop-down menu, select the Lambda SAM app hello world function and then choose the Run button. In the bottom pane of the AWS Cloud9 instance, an AWS Toolkit tab appears. This window displays the logs of the function run. And you can verify that the function ran successfully when the Hello World message appears. Now, edit the test payload to use the planned Amazon S3 trigger. A sample payload is generated. Select the payload and copy it. In the Launch.json window, under the Lambda section, locate the payload variable. The variable is on line 33. Between the curly braces, indicate the payload format by typing JSON. And now paste the payload from the previous step. To format the payload, choose Edit, Code Formatting, and apply code formatting, and then save the file. To test this, select the app.js tab and add console.log event. This line allows you to see the output in the console window. Select File, Save, and choose Run to test the function locally. In the AWS Toolkit window you can see the Amazon S3 output sample payload listed as a result of entering the console log event command. In this section, you edit the Lambda function to add both the S3 bucket and the event source to trigger the function. In the left navigation pane, open the template file by selecting the template.yaml file. This template file indicates which resources were created as part of the AWS SAM application. You need to define the S3 bucket in this template. Locate the resources section of the template, go to the bottom, and add a new line that aligns with the Hello World function resource. In the new line enter Hello World function bucket. And then add the resource type. Ensure that the resource type is indented correctly, and save the file. To verify that the indentation is correct, go to the terminal window and change directory to the Lambda SAM app by entering cd Lambda SAM app. To verify the indentation, enter SAM validate. The message displays that this is a valid SAM template. Next, open the AWS Serverless Application Model Developer Guide and locate the S3 event example. This example can be used to update the Amazon S3 event source in your function. Select the S3 event and copy it. In your template, locate the events section in your function, and paste the example S3 event you just copied from the AWS documentation. You want the function to trigger whenever any object is created in this S3 bucket. This example does that by using the S3 object created event. Align the code properly, and then replace the image's bucket name in the bucket property with the name of the bucket, hello world function bucket. Save this file, and then run SAM validate. The results indicate that the template is now valid. Next, deploy the Hello World function with this template. For this, you will need to create a bucket to upload the artifacts that AWS SAM creates for the deployment. In the left navigation pane, select the AWS Explorer icon. In region, right-click S3, and select Create Bucket. Enter a unique name such as Lambda Test Bucket DigitalDen and press Enter. Next, right-click Lambda and select Deploy SAM Application. In the Which SAM template would you like to deploy to AWS, select the template YAML file that is displayed. In the Select an AWS S3 bucket to deploy code to, select the bucket you just created from the list. Here it is Lambda Test Bucket DigitalDen. In the Enter the name to use for the deployed stack, enter Lambda Test Deploy and press Enter. In the AWS Toolkit window in the bottom pane of the AWS Cloud9 console, view the deployment logs. The deploy process creates all the necessary IAM roles and permissions, along with the resources defined in the template YAML file. The deployment process takes a few minutes to complete. If you receive an error message that includes the statement the security token included in the request is expired, deploy the SAM application again. The temporary credentials rotate frequently, and there are occurrences where they may not refresh in time for the command to execute. When the successfully deployed SAM application message appears, open the Lambda console in a new browser tab. Under Functions, you have the Lambda Test Deploy Hello World function. Open the function. In the code source section, open app.js and verify that the Hello World updates you made locally to the function now appear here. Next, you want to verify that the S3 bucket was created. Open the Amazon S3 console in a new tab, and locate the Lambda Test Deploy Hello World function bucket. Open the bucket and upload a file to this bucket. Adding this file to the bucket triggers the invocation of the Hello World function. Switch back to the Lambda console. Choose the Monitor tab, select View Logs in CloudWatch. On the Log Streams tab, select the log stream for this function. Expand the message between start and end. In the details of the message, you can verify a successful Amazon S3 put event. This indicates that the file you uploaded to your S3 bucket successfully triggered your Lambda function to run. Switch back to the Lambda console and return to the Monitor tab. In the CloudWatch Metrics panel, you can view the runtime metrics of your Lambda function in the individual panels. If the data does not appear, change the duration by selecting the custom drop-down button and setting the time to 15-minute intervals. Then choose the Refresh button. Refresh the window a few times until the data appears. Once you view the data, scroll over the data to view more details. In this section, you add logic to your function, allowing you to write information about the Amazon S3 objects to a DynamoDB table. To do this, you must define the DynamoDB table as a resource in the SAM template just like you did with the event source. To begin, open the template YAML file. Locate the resources, Hello World function bucket, and add a line below it called Hello World function table. On the line below, add a resource type of AWS serverless simple table. Save the file and validate the template. If you've aligned the columns correctly, you get a confirmation that this is a valid template. Next, you need to grant Lambda permission to write to the DynamoDB table. You'll use a SAM policy template to give only the required permissions to your function. In the Template YAML tab, locate Events S3 object created and add a new line below for policies. Locate and copy the DynamoDB CRUD policy from GitHub. And paste it into the template under the Policies section. Update the table name reference to match your Hello World function table. Save the file and validate the template. You should get a confirmation that this is a valid template. Next, on the AWS Explorer tab, right-click on Lambda, and choose Deploy SAM Application. Choose the same template file and bucket name that you've been using, and enter the same stack name Lambda test deploy. The logs of deployment can be viewed in the AWS Toolkit window. If you receive an error message that includes the statement the security token included in the request is expired, deploy the SAM application again. The temporary credentials rotate frequently, and there are occurrences where they may not refresh in time for the command to execute. Once you see the message indicating you've successfully deployed SAM application to CloudFormation Stack, open a new browser and go to the DynamoDB console. In the left navigation pane, select Tables, and verify that the Lambda test deploy table is listed. You can select the table and review the table's properties. In this last part, you update the function to capture and write values from the Amazon S3 event payload to the DynamoDB table. In AWS Cloud9, select the launch JSON file from Open Recent. Locate and view the message structure of the event source and object key. These are the variables used to store the Amazon S3 object values and need to be added to your app.js file. Open the app.js file. Then add the variable for S3 object key. Then add the variable for S3 timestamp on the line below, in order for this information from the payload to write to the Lambda function. Next, add code to write these values to the DynamoDB table. In a new browser tab, open the AWS SDK for JavaScript Developer Guide, and copy the line that loads the SDK. Paste this line at the top of the function. Return to the developer's guide and copy the rest of the code. Paste this code into the function below your Amazon S3 variables. Go to Edit, Code Formatting, apply code formatting. The next step is to replace the table name of customer list with your Lambda table name. Return to the DynamoDB console, copy the table name that was created by the SAM template, and paste it into the function for the table name value. Replace customer ID with ID to match the primary key in the table, and make that equal to the S3 object key variable. Replace customer name with timestamp, and make that value equal to the S3 object time variable, in this case enter S3 timestamp. Then add the await operator to the putItem command to ensure the item is written to the table in a timely fashion. Finally, add promise at the bottom of the script. Select File, and save the function. Go to AWS Explorer, in Region, right-click Lambda, and deploy SAM application. Use the same variables as you've been using, and wait for the function to complete. If you receive an error message that includes the statement the security token included in the request is expired, deploy the SAM application again. The temporary credentials rotate frequently, and there are occurrences where they may not refresh in time for the command to execute. Watch the AWS Toolkit tab for the message Successfully Deployed SAM Application to CloudFormation Stack, Lambda Test Deploy. Open the Amazon S3 console and upload another file to the event source S3 bucket to trigger the Lambda function. Navigate back to your Lambda function. And in Monitor, select View CloudWatch Logs. Select the latest Log Streams tab. Open the event, and make note of the event timestamp. Now navigate to the DynamoDB console. Choose Tables, and then select Lambda test deploy hello world function table. Finally select Explore Items. You will see the file you just uploaded with the event time ID that matches the event time in the CloudWatch logs entry. Congratulations! You successfully created, edited, and deployed a Lambda function using AWS SAM and AWS Cloud9. You accomplished this by having an Amazon S3 event trigger a Lambda function that writes event information to a DynamoDB table. You used an AWS SAM template to create the S3 bucket and the DynamoDB table used here.